All right. For those who are not in South Carolina, I'm curious, and I'm going to go ahead and get started, but if you could put this in chat. If you're not in South Carolina, I'm curious if your library, wherever you are in another state, if you are part of a consortium. And if you are, let us know in the chat. So I'll go ahead and get started. All right, so my first slide, I'm starting with a borrowed slide. This comes from the Consortia Awareness Working Group from the International Coalition of Library Consortia. So the International Coalition of Library Consortia, or ICOLC, is sort of my community of practice. That's how I engage with other people who work in consortia, and I learn a lot from them. But I wanted to start out today to just share this with you because it really, I think, kind of gives a really good overview or a short, succinct answer as to, why do we have library consortia? Why do libraries choose to collaborate? And there are a number of reasons. Of course, lower costs, increased impact, leveraging your power when you have multiple institutions, greater efficiencies, equity across the system. That's something that's what we think about a lot in South Carolina. But then the one that's really important here, I think, in terms of our conversation today, shared expertise. So I think this is good to have in mind as we kind of move forward and talk about consortia roles in building communities of practice. I'm going to start out, again, I know many of you are actually members of PASCAL and may know a little bit about this, but I want to give a little bit of background about PASCAL and what we do. So PASCAL has been around for a long time. We were, I apologize, I have lost my notes here for some reason. All right, that's all right. So we've been around since 2001. The consortium was established on paper in 2001. Our executive director, Rick Mall, was hired in 2003. And in 2004, PASCAL received state funding. We are a very diverse consortia. We basically represent pretty much all of the higher ed institutions in South Carolina. So unlike some other library consortia, we have public institutions, private institutions, 2-year, 4-year, research institutions. We have a couple of med schools and a law school library. So there's a lot of variety amongst our members. So our mission, of course, we provide timely and universal access to information resources and library services in order to support a highly productive knowledge environment for students, faculty, and staff at all of our member institutions across the state. Briefly, this is who we are. You can see our team here on the screen. We are a relatively small shop for considering the number of programs that we support. I like to consider us small but mighty. So what do we do? So PASCAL does a lot of different things, but our key programs are 4 different things. So we run and manage, support and manage a shared library services platform for 55 member libraries. We have the PASCAL Delivers. That's a statewide print delivery service, or resource sharing service for member libraries. We provide e-resources to member libraries, both kind of a core package of e-resources and opt-in deals that members can participate in. And more recently, for about the last 3 or 4 years, we've been trying to do more work in the affordable learning space. So our shared system, that shared infrastructure is really a key piece to everything that we do. And it really gives us a lot of opportunities for greater collaboration among our member libraries. Our PASCAL Delivers service, as I mentioned before, that is a long-standing service. It is our statewide print delivery system, but we are now expanding that service. We recently rolled out sort of a new era for PASCAL Delivers, and we now have print and digital. We stood up a non-returnables task force in April, and I apologize, my slide is incorrect. That was not April 2020. That should read April 2022. They are a very new group within PASCAL, but they are currently doing some piloting, doing some testing on digital article and chapter lending from print resources. And they are investigating, other areas where we could expand the PASCAL Deliver services in the digital realm, including, article and chapter lending from digital native resources, whole ebook lending, and possibly even controlled digital lending. So we're looking to expand that service. E-resources, of course, as I mentioned, we provide core e-resources to all of our member libraries. It's a multidisciplinary package, but we also do, we have a pretty robust opt-in e-resources program. For those of you who are PASCAL members, I've wanted to note just a couple of helpful resources for you. We do maintain an A to Z list where you can sort by your institution and see what resources you receive from PASCAL, both core and opt-in resources. And we also have pretty recently, we have implemented a e-resources discussion board, a Basecamp board to try and foster discussion among members around e-resources, both management of e-resources within the shared system, but also, marketing of e-resources, troubleshooting, the user experience, pretty much every aspect of e-resources. And we also use that to kind of share with members, new opt-in deals that we might have or other information that we need to share. Really quickly, we also, as part of our e-resources, have a pretty extensive ebook program. We offer over 300,000 academic ebooks to our member libraries. And again, that's part of our core package. So all of our members have access to that. And again, we are hoping to use that e-resources discussion board to kind of foster discussion amongst members. How are you using ebooks? How are you promoting ebooks, et cetera? And finally, affordable learning, which we market under the SCALE initiative. I want to thank some of our presenters earlier today, Hannah and Tabitha from Tri-County Technical College, not only gave a shout out to PASCAL, but also mentioned SCALE. So thank you both. So SCALE is a PASCAL initiative that basically seeks to reduce the textbook cost for students, or the overall cost of higher education, by promoting the use of either open educational resources, zero cost resources, or low or no cost resources that may be available through the library. So strategies for SCALE include education and outreach. We have a microgrants program, which is in its second year. We actually are poised to announce our award winners for this second round of grants very soon. And we're now working to kind of develop more support for faculty who are interested in publishing OER. So how does all this tie into community of practice? So you guys have seen, everyone has seen this definition a few times today, because again, this is the theme of our conference today. But I think that that definition is very interesting, coming from the kind of consortial perspective of things. If a community of practice is defined as a group of people who share a concern, a set of problems, and passion about a topic, I think that pretty much describes library consortia in many ways. But the second piece of that is a little trickier for us. So it's, this group of people who wishes to deepen their knowledge and expertise in this area by interacting in an ongoing basis. So how do we, in a consortial environment, make sure that that interacting is happening on an ongoing basis and that those opportunities are there? As I mentioned before, I really think that library consortia are sort of natural incubators for communities of practice. But there's always the question of, organic development of these COPs or versus intentional development. We are great incubators for communities of practice. In some cases, even if we don't intend to be. So I want to give just an early example of what I consider to be a very successful community of practice, and that is starting with our PASCAL Deliver service. That was one of the first programs that PASCAL implemented, I believe back in 2004, 2005. The original members of PASCAL started talking in earnest about setting up resource sharing statewide. How do we put this service into practice? And a group of librarians, just sort of organically came together. They built this service. They created, policies, procedures, workflows, training. So I think that's a great example of a community of practice just kind of coming together organically and really making a difference. So again, another example is our shared library services platform. That was our implementation was a very lengthy process. And again, just, implementing and managing a shared system across that many libraries, it really sort of requires having a community of practice in place. It also gives us a lot of opportunities to build collaboration in other areas and build communities of practice in a number of different areas, whether that's reference and instruction, cataloging, lots of different functional areas. We have learned a lot of lessons through the implementation and the sort of community of practice we've built around our shared system. We are definitely still refining that. So affordable learning is another area where we have really tried to build a community of practice. As I mentioned, the SCALE initiative began a few years ago. We created an affordable learning task force in 2018 because we knew that there were a lot of really talented, really passionate librarians around the state who were really kind of working in silos to promote the use of OER. So we wanted to, see how we could, as a consortia, kind of build collaboration and create a community of practice. One of the things that we did early on was we joined the Open Education Network, which is in itself a community of practice, but it really helped support our efforts. A lot of what we do, again, as I mentioned before, is education and outreach. We do a lot of webinars, both aimed at library professionals, folks in our member libraries, but also teaching faculty. So in our kind of initial years, we really have focused more on building that community of practice for our members, for library professionals. But now we're trying to kind of expand our efforts, expand out to faculty. We really want to be able to expand to sort of a statewide level with affordable learning, collaborating with many of our partners. We're actually participating in the American Association of Colleges and Universities OER Institute this year. That's a 12-month program, and through that, we're going to be working on a statewide affordable learning summit in spring of 2023. I hope all of you will be hearing more about that. But again, we really want to kind of coordinate with other people in the state to focus on building a community of practice, not just for library professionals, but also for faculty. So how do we do this? How do you facilitate communities of practice meeting and working together? Well, in our case, due partly to geography, because we are spread all over the state, and partly due to the pandemic, we aren't often able to meet face-to-face. So we rely heavily on online tools. We use Zoom daily, constantly. It is probably our #1 tool. We have also recently begun using Basecamp to try and facilitate discussion on a number of different areas. So we have Basecamp discussion groups for affordable learning, for our e-resources I mentioned earlier. We have a couple of different discussion boards around our shared system. So again, and they're pretty active. So members are able to directly, share their ideas, share their problems, their solutions. So again, that's been a really effective way to, create and maintain that dialogue between members. We also, of course, use Google Drive and other online tools to kind of facilitate sharing of documents, et cetera. And I should mention, too, we also have a SpringShare platform. Our website and other tools are all kind of based on LibGuides, LibAnswers, et cetera. So again, our Basecamp discussion boards, I won't go too far into this in the interest of time because I want to leave a little bit of time for discussion. But yeah, we have a number of different boards. You can see that's not even, that image or screenshot's not even all of the discussion boards that we manage. We have them for various teams, but also, as I said, we've been trying to use them more recently to kind of have informal spaces where members can share. Another thing that we have found is really important and that we're trying to do more of is give our members opportunities for sharing. So we do a lot of webinars at PASCAL on a variety of topics. A lot of them are around our shared system, training webinars, affordable learning, webinars that have to do, support our key programs. We also try to do some professional development webinars throughout the years, but a lot of our webinars are either created by and usually facilitated and presented by members of some of our working groups and committees. So that's one area where members are able to share with other members. But more and more, we are trying to do webinars where we putting out a call for proposals around a particular topic. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of great webinars. We had a Growing OER on Your Campus session where we had members from around the state sharing the work that they're doing on their campuses with affordable learning. And then we just recently had one around our shared discovery service as well. We're also doing more sort of informal water cooler discussions where we can.